Less than 12 hours after her daughter Natalee was reported missing, Beth Holloway Twitty's plane touched down in Aruba. She was joined by her then-husband Jug and a few friends from home, and the group wasted no time tracking down clues about what had happened to Natalee. The first stop, the Holiday Inn where Natalee had stayed, and where they began asking questions about that Dutch tourist named Joran, the same young man who'd been seen with Natalee at the hotel's casino and later at Carlos and Charlie's.
So all I did was give this little bit of information to the nighttime manager, and she knew instantly who he was.
And who was he?
She said, oh, that's Joran Vandersloot, and he's 17. No, he's a local here.
Now that they knew his full name, Beth wanted to put a face on it. She asked to see the casino security videotape, and as she watched it play, she was on the phone with her step-nephew, who had been on the trip and had sat next to Joran in the casino the night before.
Then he guided us. He said, now he's seated to my left, and then we're able to see what he looked like. And then as we were coming from the video surveillance room down the stairs, we almost collided with the two of the Aruban handlers, because they were coming up at the same time, and they were like, we've got the car and we've got the address.
Joran Vandersloot's address. Minutes later, the group from Alabama was arriving at his family's home. While Beth sat in the car, her friends from home grilled Joran, pressing him for details about what happened after he and Natalee left the bar.
The words that he uses are sexually explicit and graphically detailed of what he is engaging in, the conduct he's engaging in with Natalee in the backseat of the car.
And if I'm one of these guys,
oh yeah,
that's going to be enough to make me come unhinged.
They were, yeah, that's when it was,
like grab him by the
you got it.
throat and say, look,
you got it.
Where is she?
Yeah, it was about to just explode.
By now, police had arrived at the house, and Paulus Vandersloot, a politically connected legal official, hovered as police questioned his son Joran. And when it came to the key question, when did Joran last see Natalee, he said that he and two friends, brothers Deepak and Satish Kalpo, had dropped her off at her hotel around 2 a.m. End of story.
He wanted to go show us where he had dropped her off.
By now, at least 20 people had gathered around. Beth, her husband, their friends, and police. And they all got in cars and headed back to the Holiday Inn. Here at the Holiday Inn, Joran himself showed Beth and the rest of the group where he supposedly left Natalee, here at the hotel's front entrance.
So he spread his arms out, said, this is where I dropped her off. And he explained how she got out of the car and she stumbled, and he said she fell and she hit her head.
The group tried to get some rest, and the next morning Beth went to the police station hoping to follow up on what she had learned the night before.
And the lead detective, he told me that he would have to get a shave, and he rubbed his cheeks and he stretched his arms down to his large stomach and said he would have to have his Frosted Flakes first before he could deal with me. And then after 2 hours, he came out and said that he changed his mind, that he didn't need to meet with us after all.
The next day, as Beth continued to follow up leads at bars, the beach, and hotels, Dave Holloway arrived and says he had his own frustrating encounter with police.
He proceeded to tell us that, and we knew then, that the three boys were the last three to be seen with Natalee. And he said, I've taken their statements, and they don't have anything to do with her disappearance.
So they had cleared Joran Vandersloot and the other two boys
on June 1st.
From the get-go.
He said, a lot of these girls come to the island, they miss their flights, she'll show up in a few days.
In a few days?
Yeah. He said she's probably out just partying. A lot of them will come here and get hooked up with a drug dealer. They'll be under drugs for a while or whatever.
How did you respond to that?
I said, that's not my daughter.
Both parents felt nearly paralyzed with fear, but they did keep moving. The next day, Beth was back at the police station, and this time the detective had questions for her.
He asked me if Natalee ever had a history of seizures or epilepsy. And I said, no.
Did you think that was odd at the time?
No, I just thought, why are you asking that?
Beth Holloway Twitty says she didn't understand the significance of that question at the time and wouldn't for more than 2 years. But soon after that question was posed to her, there were arrests in the case. Just not who she thought. A week after Natalee's disappearance, 2 Holiday Inn security guards were taken into custody. Joran Vandersloot and the Kalpoe brothers reportedly told police that security guards might have known something about what happened after Natalee was dropped off. Natalee's mother was horrified. Her own digging at the Holiday Inn left her convinced that Joran's account simply couldn't be true.
It made me sick. Made me sick. And the reason why, we knew beyond the shadow of a doubt. At that point, we knew that the boys had totally fabricated this story about what they did with Natalee.
Why were you so certain that Vandersloot and the other young men were lying?
Because within 72 hours, I viewed the video footage of the interior of the Holiday Inn lobby, of how the tourists can enter the lobby. Natalee never entered the lobby.
The security guards were eventually released, and Joran Vandersloot's story had changed over time. He now claimed he'd left Natalee on the beach, not at the Holiday Inn. Later that month, police arrested the Kalpoe brothers and Joran Vandersloot. Beth thought the case was closed.
There's not a chance in hell that they will see
The light of day.
No.
Beth was wrong. To her surprise, a judge ruled that there was not enough evidence to hold the suspects, and 3 months after their arrest, all three were back on the streets. As the days, then weeks, passed, the Holloways had to face a horrible realization. No matter how many police officers they talked to or beaches they combed, it looked like Natalee wasn't coming home alive.
I had that gut feeling that, just I guess as a parent, you just have that feeling that she's not here anymore.
Still, they were determined to find her body and bring it home.
What would represent justice in this case for you?
Well, my goal has always been to find my daughter. That's been my ultimate goal from day one.
A new chapter of the Holloway story was about to begin. An exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the latest search, the one you haven't heard about.
He said, I think y'all need to be out in the sea 3 to 5 miles.
When the search for Natalee Holloway continues.